It's 50 years this year since something truly momentous happened in British motorsport, specifically rallying. In 1972, Roger Clark and Tony Mason became the first British pair in a decade to win the RAC rally. An event that at the time was contested all over the country, but nowhere more fiercely or more memorably than right here, amid the mountains and the forests and on the mud and gravel of Wales. Now Clark won the RAC rally in an Escort. And the year after, in 1973, his teammate Timo Mäkinen won again in an Escort. And then in 74, Mäkinen won again in his Escort. And in fact, no other car would win the RAC rally right up until 1980. It recorded 8 straight RAC rally wins, and that's the sort of dominance that no rally car before it had enjoyed, and none has repeated since. On that day, 50 years ago nearly, a legend was born.
The Mark I Ford Escort, built as it was at Ford's Halewood plant on Merseyside, was already a popular car by 1972, but its unparalleled winning streak on the RAC propelled it to a level of sales success undreamt of by so many other car makers. It was Britain's best-selling car by 1976, and after dicing for the top spot with the Cortina throughout the late 70s, it was back on top spot by 1982, and it stayed there for the rest of the 1980s, and even returned there for a few years of the 1990s. The feats of Clark, Mäkinen, Bjorn Veldegaard and Hannu Mikkola on those 1970s Forest rally stages helped to forge a following that would fuel Ford's dominance of the UK car market for years afterwards. Ford won on a Sunday and sold on a Monday, like only Ford could. And moreover, it made the Escorts Mark I and II rallying legends, cars that people would seek out and rally on historic events for decades, and that many still do.
Now that brings us to this, which looks an awful lot like an original 1970s rally specification Ford Escort Mark I rally car, which is obviously what it is, but critically it isn't what it is. This is the MST Mark I. Now it's built by a company called Motorsport Tools. They're based not very far from here at all, in Pwllheli, and they started out reshelling and restoring classic Escort rally cars, and then they realised they were building up a supply network and a network of parts from which you could make a brand new classic Escort rally car from the ground up, and then they started designing their own panels and their own components, and one day they built their own car. That was an Escort Mark II, and they did fast road and rally specifications of that, and then one day last year they launched this, which is the sort of all-important formative Escort Mark I. It's effectively done out as if it were a 1970s rally car. Now then, this is not a resto mod, this is a brand new car. It's not a Ford Escort either, technically, and you can see it's brand new because it's on a 71 plate and it's got a brand new V5. So I guess some people are going to say, well, that can't be a real Escort, but bear in mind that if you're lucky enough to own an original Escort and you're unlucky enough to roll it into a ditch on a rally stage somewhere, these are the parts that would be used to repair your car. This is the real McCoy. It's just brand new. And you can tell by how well it's been done that it is absolutely pucker. I mean, it's got the Group 4 arches front and back. It's got proper rally spec axles, McPherson struts at the front, fully adjustable. It's got an Atlas 6-link live axle at the rear. It's a wonderful thing to just look at. It's beautifully designed. It's on these gorgeous 13-inch mini light wheels. There are AP racing brakes behind those. The interior's done out beautifully. It feels really authentic, but it's also up to date and it feels usable. It's like a modern car that you'd want to drive as often as you could, really. You can debate the rights and wrongs about whether companies like MST have the right to build cars like these, but when they are done as well as this, I don't think you can really quibble with the end result. There are several options on engine, but this is the one that MST recommends. It's a Gathercole built, originally Cosworth designed 2-litre BDG engine, and it's the engine that most Escort classic rally cars would use in historic rallies. This is the road tune, so it's got slightly softer cams on it. It's producing about 250 horsepower, but it's still revving to 9,000 RPM. And in order to get it through an IVA test and stick registration plates on it, they've gone for a modern injection system and a modern ECU just to keep it usable and to keep the emissions down far enough for it to pass road regulations. There is a more powerful engine option if you want it. MST will put a Millington Diamond race engine in this car if you want, which goes up to 350 horsepower and comes with a sequential straight cut gearbox. But trust me, this engine is more than powerful enough for a car that's pretty small by modern standards, and it weighs less than a tonne in running order. And it's also the most authentic sort of engine that you could put in this car for that sort of 1970s rally vibe. You won't believe how it sounds. We better have a drive. Welcome aboard the MST Mk1. I have to say, driving a car like this around Snowdonia mountain roads does make you feel a bit of a big deal. They love this car here. People have been waving at me and up-thumbing all day long. It's a bit mental. I feel like I should be Owen Glendour or something. I'm not. Anyway, about this car. Now, I said you wouldn't believe how it sounded. I'm going to be shouting quite a bit because it gets noisy, but it's noisy in a good way. So this is clearly a motorsport spec Escort. You can tell that just looking at it. It's got wide wheels. You know just by looking at it, it's going to have really heavy steering. It's going to have, you know, heavy snatchy clutch, kind of a real rawness in the feel. It's got all of that. But you warm up to it. You won't just get in it out of something like a 992 Turbo S or God knows what else, a modern performance car. You won't get in this from that and just master it straight away. You have to invest a bit. So, do with the engine first, because that's kind of the most epic bit, I think. Doesn't really like working below about 4,000 RPM, which is where we are now, but it'll spin all the way up to like beyond 8. I haven't actually taken it beyond 8 yet because the rev counter keeps stopping working, which is great. That's just the territory we're in though, right? So let's just listen to the engine, pop it in third. That's 4,000 revs. We'll just listen and then we'll get a feel for how fast this thing is as well. Here we go. It's not slow, is it? It's sort of, it wants to pull from about 5, I would say. And then you get this sort of VTEC kick, VTEC before VTEC existed, about 5.5, and then it goes again at about 7, and what happens above 7,500 RPM is, wow, it's just like having your ear chewed off by some rabid dog, but in a nice way. In terms of outright speed, it's probably got a kind of a modern mid-range performance car type performance level, typically. If you drive it really hard, above sort of 6, and you keep the revs really high, it's probably a bit quicker. It's probably getting on for sort of fastish Caterham 911 turbo type performance. But this isn't the sort of car you would buy just to go fast. It's much more about the rawness in the feel, the analog feel of the controls, being involved in what you're doing and feeling every single divot and twitch and enjoying yourself, being alive. I don't think I'd want the bigger motor. This would be fine for me. There's this lovely H-pattern manual gearbox as well, which just feels really mechanical and honest. Kind of short and stabby, but yeah, it's great. And the brake pedal's really, you know, meaty and heavy, and you have to properly push it. And again, we said the clutch is heavy, the steering's pretty heavy. The steering lightens up, obviously, with speed. That's that. Crikey. Do you feel like Hanno Mikkola or Roger Clark instantly when you're driving it? I don't think you quite do. The handling is quite darty. It's quite, you know, it's quite full on. The steering's really direct and it picks up pace quite quickly just off centre. And because of the geometry they've gone for big wheels, wide wheels, lots of offset on the front, a little bit of what they call toe out, which makes the car just hook into corners as it goes around them. It also makes the car quite sensitive on the steering. So you have to be quite precise with it. But you also have to give the rear axle, that live rear axle, a little bit of time to settle and to take its line through a corner before you really start pushing the throttle. So you've got this combination of slightly sensitive front axle, slightly sleepy, old tech rear axle. Takes a bit of wrapping your head around. But in terms of just outright body control, damping authority, this car it does not feel like 50-year-old tech. It feels absolutely spot on and modern, and I'm pretty sure on a track day it could live with, fastest track cars, caterhams, all sorts of things. It could give them a real headache, because the Kumho tyres on this car are super sticky, and when it's warm like this, they just give you massive grip level. For me, I'd probably want a little bit less. I'd probably want slightly smaller rims, a slightly calmer geometry, and a bit more of a sort of a ordinary setup, so I could just drive it and didn't have to always concentrate on what I was doing all the time. But if you want the full fat setup, this is pretty good. And if your average super sports car is worth 100 and something thousand pounds, then for the right person, I would say this definitely is.
The rallying success of the Mark I Ford Escort must have been like lightning in a bottle for Ford of Britain. Imagine being Fred Bloggs in 1972 on your way home from the dentist in Dolgethley one Friday night in late November in your Escort 1.3 Deluxe. Suddenly 4 spotlights appear in your rearview mirror, and then 4 screaming Cosworth cylinders fill your ears, and then Roger Clark passes you at some fantastic speed before howling off into the night on his way to the last rally service area of the day. And then you reach for another Embassy Regal, just to settle your nerves. That man was driving a rallying legend, a Ford Escort. And so are you, a bit. You'd buy another one, wouldn't you? I would, and I bet Fred did as well. Thanks for watching, and liking and subscribing, if you haven't already. See you next time.